Alright, guys, I'm back and I'm here to tell you all about all of the books I read in August. This is my wrap up. Contrary to previous wrap ups and then corresponding TBR videos, I'm going to do a loose TBR at the very end of this video. I'll put the timestamps in the description down below because I have like a bunch of stuff going on for work this month and I'm studying for certifications and things, so I'm not going to actually have a hard TBR. I just want to mention what I'm reading and some cool readathons I've heard about, but all of that will be at the end. So, in no particular order, I'm going to start with the books that I've read this month that I don't own in physical copy, because there was two of them. One is The Dragon Reborn by Robert Jordan. Thought that was a great book. That I've been reading The Wheel of Time very slowly, because I also decided to read a few other high fantasy series this year. And, moral of the story is a lot is going on and it's kind of hard for me to keep the world separated, but I really enjoy the third one. Each book I've read has gotten better than the last one. Still personally have issues with parents chapters, but overall I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I will hopefully be picking up, if I have time, book 4 in I don't know what month it is. It's September. The other book that I read I listened to the audiobook. It's an Audible original, but I think it's actually like a book or a report or something like that. It's called Caffeine, How Caffeine Builds the Modern World. And it was actually really interesting to just see and understand the science and the cycle behind how caffeine creates this dependency and yada yada yada, but how it also helps to like bring on the world we live in today. It was a really short story, and I just was like maybe a 2-hour audiobook. I think I really enjoyed it, though. I learned a lot, so I'm going to give it a 4 stars. And now, in no particular order, I read The Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. I was originally going to read this for the Tome Topple. I didn't finish it during the Tome Topple because, again, I was traveling, but I did finish it this month. I really enjoyed it. We follow a character who's, I don't believe his name throughout the course of this book, as he uses his natural gift of public speaking. An African American character. That's important because this is before the civil rights, and there's a lot of just racial things that happen, and just showing the words are hard. It's just kind of showing what he's had to go through and fight too, because he is African American in the pre-civil rights South. And so he basically uses his power of speech, that he has this natural gift that he has of speaking, to win a scholarship to college, and then he goes through things there that are interesting, and he learns a lot. Ends up getting expelled from school, goes and moves up to the north and tries to find a job, and through letters of recommendation and whatnot, he ends up finding a few different jobs he doesn't do well in for different reasons, and then he ends up in this society called the Brotherhood, and it's kind of hard to explain in detail without spoiling things. I will say this book was beautifully written. It does cover a lot of really heavy things, and I enjoyed it. I think I gained a new perspective for what African American people have gone through in history. This is obviously fictional, but I think it is also known as one of the most original voices of Black America, and I am not African American, so I cannot attest to that, but I did really enjoy reading this book, and it was very eye-opening on a lot of different issues, and this poor guy goes through a whole lot. Beautifully written book. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Another book I read was Countdown to Zero Day by Kim Zetter. It is a nonfiction book about the launch of the world's first cyber weapon, which is allegedly the United States and Israel attacked the Iranian centrifuges to bring them down at the Natanz power plant. It was a very well-written nonfiction book, read like a suspense novel, and I really enjoyed it. I was reading it for a book club that I'm in. If you're interested at all in what happened with Stuxnet, I definitely recommend checking it out. It is written for someone who is not highly technical, so don't be scared by it. Another book that I read this month was Hija de la Fortuna by Isabel Allende. I was reading this for the Avatar: The Last Page Turner as my Latinx book choice. It has, also known as The Fire Nation. I also did not finish this during the allotted time because I can read in Spanish. I am just a lot slower than I realize, especially because I usually, when I read books in Spanish, also own the copy of the book in English, which I did not for this one. So it was a whole journey. And I'm going to open my window because it got really dark in here. It was a whole journey. That might be too bright. Oh well. It was a whole journey in me trying to figure out like how much I actually know of Spanish and all of that jazz. But so, moral of the story, we follow this character named Eliza Summers from early childhood all the way, which is in Chile, and all the way as she basically emigrates to America following a person that she loved who, for different reasons, kind of went up to the California gold rush area. So she ends up going through a whole lot that happens. And she ends up in California and like is truly just embraced by this life of freedom that she's never known before, and she has a great time, and she becomes like a woman of power and of reverence in California. She meets some friends. There's different characters along the way. I really enjoyed it. I will say I probably missed some of the magical realism and some of the things that this book is really well known for, because I was reading it in my not native language. So because of that, I'm giving it a 3-star. I liked it. It was just a lot of work for me to read. I am planning on borrowing my friend's copy of the English version and reading that when I have the opportunity. I think if you know another language, even if it's not well, it's just a really interesting experience to read a book in your non-native language. That way you can kind of just see how they word different things in different ways. It's bright again outside, so here we are with that. But yes, I did not start this book this month, but I did finish the audio for Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace in July. I will recommend. So this is obviously a thick book here, and I think the premise of this War and Peace is that the premise is of this book that you are following these 5 aristocratic families in Russia during the Napoleon's failed conquest of Russia, which I believe was 1812. So you're basically experiencing this whole conquest through the lives and the experiences of these 5 families. The audiobook was great. It really helped me with the names. I had originally started like reading this and listening to it at the same time. I ultimately ended up mostly just listening to it because it was very hefty and very long, and I just didn't have 62 hours lying around, so I didn't have the book with me while I was driving, and I think the audiobook was very well done. I really enjoyed it, and I actually I think this is I've always thought of this book as one of those books people read so that way they can be pretentious at parties, but I love classics, and this is no exception. And it was the drama, the intrigue, the lives of all these people and how they connect are very interesting, and I had a really good time reading it. I also, as part of the Sander fans read along and for myself and all that fun stuff, read Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings this month again because I had read it previously. This is still an amazing book. I loved it a lot. I'm currently reading Words of Radiance. I'm trying to pace myself at 1 book a month just so I can read some other things in between them and be prepared for which would give me enough time to read the 2 little novellas as well, which that's a different issue. If you're interested in hanging out and reading this with me and Sammy and Kat, I'll link our Discord down below and all their Instagrams, because we do live discussions and live reading sprints on YouTube, so you should go check us out if you're interested. Again, 5 out of 5 stars. I did make an entire review on this book, so I don't want to go into it too much here, which I'll either link down below, or if I figure out how to use the little eye thing on the side, then we will do it that way. But either way, go check out my full review. It'll be linked down below. And then, I did the Rory Gilmore 24-hour readathon, where I read this book, and this book, and this book. The vlog will probably be up before this video or shortly after, so if it's up, I will have it linked down below. But I read Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five. I really liked this. It was a little choppy for me, the way it was written and the writing style, but I did enjoy it. So I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. I kind of go into more details in that vlog with why on the books. This book was not on the Rory Gilmore reading list, but there was a bingo square for a cozy book, and I think this book is cozy. And the audiobook is only 5 hours. And I obviously have physically read this book before. It looks like I dropped it in water. I'm pretty sure I did. Like, if you look at the, but I wanted to check out the audiobook, and it was a really great production. It helped me to like do my puzzle and like do some cooking and cleaning I needed to do on the day of the readathon. So have a great time. I'm sorry, all the light is just changing a bunch, but and the last book I read, this one is still a 5 out of 5 stars. The last book I read was Anthony Burgess's A Clockwork Orange. Not a huge fan of this book. It's definitely like interesting, and it has an amount of a cult following for the way it's written, for like what the characters experience. I was not a huge fan of the writing style, and also of just the extreme violence that you see in this book. And like, did they need to rape that many people in this book, for example? I'm better for having read it, and I do get why some people like it, and I do get that it's an end of the world book, so we like should expect violence, but that was a lot. And especially because all of the characters are men, it's hard to just like identify as a character in this book for myself. So I read it, it's done, the book cover is cool. Yeah, 2 out of 5 stars. And that is the books that I read this month. Yeah. Now for the very brief TBR for this video. It's a very loose TBR for September because like I mentioned, I'm working on some certification exams, and I just want to have time to just do some more learning and things for work, because I've been doing a lot of reading lately, which is not a problem. But I just have realized that with being on YouTube and in the online book community, I feel a lot more overwhelmed and pressure to read so many books, which is, again, not a bad thing. I just don't want to ever be at a point in my life where I don't like reading, so I'm trying to just relax just a little bit for this particular month. So as I mentioned, I'm doing the Stormlight stuff, so obviously we're in Words of Radiance. I started this yesterday, made some progress already. Love this book again. I'm also attempting to participate in my own way with the Late Night Book Club, which is the new book club from Noelle and Joel, and I'll put the name down below, but all the Late Night Books Club stuff will be linked down below. So but for that, they're reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I've heard a lot of good things about this book for many years, so I'm going to try and read this month. Another really cool readathon that's happening in this month, I think it's the very beginning as well, is the Latinx readathon, and I'll link the video I watched down below and any of the rest of them that I can find. It's where you basically just read books from Latina, Latinx authors from all of Central and South America, and my mom is from Mexico, and I like uplifting that part of the culture that I experience. So if I have time, I don't know if I will, I'm either going to read another Isabel Allende book that I have translated, or that is not translated, so it's in this original Spanish, which might be too much for this month, or I'm going to try and read this half-price book's copy of Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I've heard a lot of good things about this, both this and Mexican Gothic, and this is the one I own, so if I have time, I'm going to read it. If not, I'm going to try and put out just a list of books that I like, that I have read, or that I recommend, or that I've heard are good, for just to encourage people to participate in that readathon. I don't know if I will have time, but if I do, I'm going to read that. And because spooky season is upon us soon, I have started the reading of James Patterson's Along Came a Spider. I have not read anything by James Patterson before. This one is literally the first Alex Cross detective novel. I googled where to start, and this was this. I love Stephen King. I have a Stephen King video, which I'll link that down below for you. Why not? And I just want to kind of expand my horror and mystery genre experience. So thought I would check out James Patterson. And obviously if I finish these 4 books, considering how many books I read on a month that I was very busy and traveling, I expect I'll probably finish more than these 4 books. I'm going to just start reading my Stephen King books for October, just so I can, because I very much mood read Stephen King. At this point in my life, I used to read him all the time, but then I spent like a year reading way too much Stephen King. Anyways, those are I'm going to for sure read these 3 books this month, maybe a bonus with this one. And we'll keep y'all posted for anything else I have coming up and doing. And check out all the links down below. Go check out the readathons. I know Becca's Bookathon is going on this month, and while I did the 24-hour one, and that was really fun, there was a lot with that I did not even want to think about doing. I know there's a couple of new Stormlight readathons going on with the people that originally started the Cosmere along, so good for them, but you should also come check out ours too if you're interested. So that's all I have for you. Thank you for watching my August wrap-up and mini TBR for September. See y'all next time.